Donald Glover's show Atlanta is full of surreal imagery and dream sequences. In fact, the first scenes of the show mention déjà vu, directly followed by Earn talking about a dream.
I had a weird dream.
And the series finale is literally called It Was All a Dream, centering around Darius repeatedly waking up from dreams.
Maybe it's just my dream, and you were just in it.
So logically, between all of the surreal imagery and dream sequences, it makes sense that many fans and articles have tried to figure out which of these surreal moments were real and which were just a dream.
Hey man, I thought it was a dream!
But questioning what is real or fake is actually not the question that the show wants its audience to think about. As a writer for Atlanta said on social media, people shouldn't watch the show like it's a puzzle meant to be solved. So why shouldn't the viewer care about what is or isn't real within the show? Glover talked about this directly in an interview preceding season 4 of Atlanta.
People always talk about the simulation, like they're like afraid that we live in a simulation. I'm like, why do you give a fuck? Like, it's real to you. It can't all be fake, and that's okay. And I feel like that's the question. I mean, that's the feeling I always wanted to see, because like life feels weird. And it could be a dream, but a dream in what sense? Like, why is it because it has to be real? And what is real, like, really? So I feel like a lot of the things this season we're kind of asking is like, well, what's real?
So the show doesn't want its viewers to think about the simple question. Was what we watched just a dream?
Is she real?
Real fake.
But rather uses surrealism and dream sequences to try and get at a larger question. Is anything real?
My name is Ahmad White. You may know me from your dreams.
It's the subtle but important distinction between was that real and what is real. Another reason why Atlanta doesn't want viewers to think too hard about which surreal moments are real is that the surrealness and dreams are intended to either be just for comedy, like the invisible car, or are meant to elicit a feeling that the show wants to convey. Here's how Donald Glover describes it. The thesis with the show was kind of to show people how it felt to be black. And you can't really write that down. You kind of have to feel it. So the tonal aspect was really important to me. Simplified, Glover is saying that the purpose of these surreal scenes is to help convey a specific feeling that is otherwise impossible to describe. For example, let's look at the episode with Earn's alligator-owning uncle. Earn has an emotional conversation with his uncle, but ultimately fails to get him to leave his house and talk to the police. And then this happens. The surreal appearance of the alligator emerging in slow motion doesn't really have an impact on the story, but it elicits a very specific feeling. Director Hiro Murai said, "With the alligators scene, I can tell it's a tonal thing he wants to hit. It's not about story mechanics, but about a quality of light and of the onlooker's expressions that's strange and majestic and ethereal." Glover added, "The alligator walking out and the music blaring, I feel like that all of the time, so I'm going to make all of you feel like that." This surreal moment is the honest depiction of Glover's feelings. Some other examples of Atlanta using surrealism and dreams to get at a deeper truth are when Al encounters the old man in the woods, and when Earn tries to sign D'Angelo.
Why are you so certain the hands intend to harm you?
This type of honesty is such an important value to Glover that he has a tattoo on his arm that reads, "Truth is a power." This quote is from Soren Kierkegaard, a 19th century Dutch philosopher who is widely considered the father of existentialist philosophy, which explores issues related to the meaning, purpose, and value of human existence.
Like, are there just some people on Earth who are supposed to be here just to make it easier for the winners?
Glover has said in several interviews that he has read much of Kierkegaard's work, and his influence on Donald is readily apparent in Atlanta. Here's Donald back in a season 1 promo discussing the existential aspects of the show.
Rappers live in a very existential place. Like, you have all the money in the world and you have no money. You have all the friends in the world, you have no friends. It's a very confusing, weird, but funny place.
As Glover insightfully points out, life is weird and confusing at times. And Atlanta leans into that fact, and is honest about the strangeness of the world. One strange aspect of modern life that Atlanta often discusses is social media. The show is constantly making references to memes, viral videos, and internet culture.
The acoustic rap go, and white girls love that shit.
And the topic is a fertile ground for Glover to explore his ideas of what is real. Social media is prominently featured in several episodes of Atlanta, but the show's thoughts on it are probably best summed up by the episode Champagne Poppy, where people are happily taking photos with a cardboard cutout of Drake, as if it's real.
You're telling me all these girls have been posting fake photos on Instagram all night?
Look, they real to everyone else.
Glover explains how the internet meshes perfectly with Atlanta's surreal and yet real depiction of the world.
We were talking a lot about that in the writer's room too, with just like the internet's like kind of destabilizing what we all agree on. Like we don't have any common ground anymore, so everything feels dreamlike and weird.
There's a famous quote by artist Frida Kahlo, which applies perfectly to Atlanta. They thought I was a surrealist, but I wasn't. I never painted dreams. I painted my own reality. One of the greatest strengths of Atlanta's surreal honesty is that it allowed the show to satirically comment on current real-world events and issues in a seamless fashion, conditioning the audience to simply accept things like Justin Bieber being black in the show, as a way to talk about race.
Oh shit, it's Justin Bieber.
And these scenes created some of the best moments from the series. Atlanta took the real-life controversy of Rachel Dolezal, a chair of a chapter of the NAACP who was revealed to not be black, but actually a white woman who self-identified as black, and flipped the story around, creating a fictional black teen character who self-identifies as a 35-year-old white man from Denver.
Hey, excuse me, what IPA do you have on tap?
Stephen Glover, brother of Donald and writer and co-executive producer for Atlanta, explained exactly how the writers for the show wrote these episodes, saying, "With our show, we talk about being real. With the Montague episode, we were just trying to show a real thing, and it wasn't about being preachy. It's just reflecting the world we live in." Because of the strong tenets of surrealism and honesty that grounds the show, Atlanta was able to tackle a number of these complicated and contentious subjects, such as reparations, gentrification, and colorism, and does so in a very comedic but also thoughtful way, never shying from the difficult topics. By slightly altering scenarios with surrealism, it allows for the audience to look at things in a new way. Having a black committee judge if a character is really black,
name me 6 things that mix with Hennessy,
is a way to directly discuss the real topics of colorism and blackness in a surreal and comedic manner. Donald Glover explains that there really isn't a limit to how abstract you can get as long as you believe it. I think if you have something that is grounded on some level, you can go anywhere. In a bit of meta-commentary, the writers for Atlanta state the intention of their writing within their own show, during a scene from one of the final episodes of the series, The Goof Who Sat by the Door. The episode is a fake documentary about a fictional black animator, Thomas Washington, who was put in charge of directing the Goofy movie, and contains several parallels between Thomas Washington and Donald Glover. In a surreal and self-referential moment that encapsulates the show's meaning, the fictional animator's son says that his late father and his work only had one goal.
Because the essence of it is those drawings he did in college. Black folks living their lives, being funny, being free, being real.
Atlanta was one of the best shows ever made, and certainly one of the realest. Thanks for watching. If you subscribe or like the video, it really does help me out as a smaller creator. Alright, well, time's up. You can get out of your floating tank now.